plan, just days away from Christmas.
Toch wel een beetje.
This man says we've done everything we could. We're fully vaccinated. And in the end, it all goes in the wrong direction. Before the lockdown went into effect, long lines of shoppers rushed to the stores for some last-minute Christmas shopping. The government also cracking down on how many people can attend holiday gatherings. Only 2 guests will be allowed in private homes, with the exception of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, when 4 are permitted.
Such a generous government over there in the Netherlands. Gosh. When are people going to see it, man? When are people going to see it? Welcome back. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to Charles Turner. I got the book, American Marxism by Mark Levin. Can't wait to read it. I just picked it up. I think Friday it came in. I was checking every day, man, and it finally showed up. So thank you for that book. I appreciate it. God bless everybody for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Please make sure you give it a like on your way in. Now, what's happening, you guys, is that YouTube has deleted probably about 200 to 300 of my subscribers over the last week or so, and the number continues to fall. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is. Make sure that you double check, click on my channel, make sure that you are subscribed, make sure you didn't get unsubscribed, and then, of course, make sure you have the bell notification so you don't miss a live stream. Because what's happening is they're deleting my subs. It's not just happening to me, it's happening to a lot of people. People have been talking about it on their channel. So I want to make sure to let you guys know that they are doing whatever they can to try to silence my voice. They're trying to silence anybody's voice that doesn't, toe the line of the establishment and everything that they're trying to do, the agenda. So just make sure that you're subscribed, just double check. And then, of course, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. All right, now let's get the screen shared over here. And let's just get right into it, right? So they keep telling us, actually what they're doing is they're giving us mixed messages. They keep saying, COVID is here to stay. We need to learn to live with this virus. But then they're over there talking about every new variant that comes out. They're counting cases of the new variant. They're telling you people like Elizabeth Warren tested positive for COVID-19, experiencing mild symptoms. Doesn't this remind you of March of 2020 when they're like, look, here's a list of all of the high-profile people that have caught COVID-19, just to help to get people used to the idea that this thing is around. Look, your favorite actor is catching it. Your favorite rapper and songwriter and musician has caught COVID. Your favorite politician has caught it. Now, when you think about somebody like Lion Lizzie Warren, I mean, this is a person who pretended to be Native American. Do you really believe that she caught the virus? Or do you think that she is a part of the agenda to push never-ending fear? And again, this is not learning to live with the virus. Learning to live with the virus would be not talking about Omicron, not shutting down schools, not ending, changing sports games around, not forcing kids to wear masks, not mandating booster shots. Just stop talking about it. They don't want it to end, just like they don't want racism to end. They keep talking about things that they say they want to end. We want to put a stop to it. By hyper-focusing on it, you want to put a stop to it. But anyway, this is not living with the virus. It's not learning to live with it. Houston restaurant closures are back as Omicron wave approaches, with some already facing COVID outbreaks. Small businesses grappling with Omicron 2 years after closures and restrictions. Of course, it's happening worldwide. Netherlands is on lockdown. We know what's going on in Australia. That's been well documented. It's been well documented in Eastern Europe, Austria. Crazy, crazy stuff. The UK is going back into lockdown. And tomorrow, Mr. Dark Winter, Joe Biden, will be announcing probably more lockdowns. Who knows what levels they're going to go to now? Maybe restricting domestic air travel. I don't know. He's obviously threatened all these things before. He's threatened to restrict travel. Once upon a time when Delta was the new wave and they were trying to fearmonger about Delta, they're like, we need to restrict travel out of Florida, in and out of Florida. So they're putting it out there. And here's his health person. I don't even know who this person is. COVID response coordinator, using the same talking points, almost as if they're reading from a script.
For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death. For yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm.
So there, you hear that rhetoric. It's all just scare talk. That's all it is. It's scare talk for people who have not gotten vaccinated, because basically what it boils down to is we don't have control over your body yet. And so we're issuing you a one size fits all death sentence. That's not exactly how it works. Remember, millions of people have already caught COVID and recovered. They have natural immunity, even though you're not allowed to talk about it, even though it's medical misinformation, even though you'll be shunned if you talk about it. Millions of people have already caught this thing, multiple variants. I know people, you probably know people who caught this thing and beat it before the vaccine was even out. So now all of a sudden it is a death sentence, and it's going to be a winter of severe illness and death. They're not saying this because they care about you. They're saying this because if you don't get this shot, they want it to happen to you. They're basically wishing death on you. That's why they're talking like that. They don't care if you get it. You imagine thinking some 50+ year career political hack like Biden actually cares about your life, thinking he cares about you, right? You really think that this man cares about you? It's about pushing big pharma's agenda, as you have Moderna out there today. Now their stock price went up today after they announced that their booster shot is highly effective against the Omicron variant. So the people who have the most incentive to keep this thing going are making a killing right now. And again, if we're learning to live with this, and we're supposed to learn to live with this, you got to stop talking about the new variants, because the new variants are always going to come, always going to come. They're always going to be a new variant. So is there going to be a brand new booster for every time? Are you going to panic every time and count cases, count deaths, lock everybody down every single time there's a new variant, but then turn around and say you need to learn to live with it? It's not making any sense. So Biden last week, now you guys know he is going to be giving some speech tomorrow. He's going to be addressing the nation to talk about the Omicron variant that just 2-3 weeks ago, when we first heard about it, he said, we don't need to really worry about it. We don't need to panic about it. But this is what he said last week. He said, our vaccines work against Omicron, especially for people who get booster shots when they are eligible. If you're vaccinated, you could test positive. But if you do get COVID, your case will likely be asymptomatic or mild. So that's funny to me, because he's saying, okay, if you get the vaccines, remember once upon a time he said you won't get COVID if you get the vaccines, but that's another story. But he's saying if you are fully vaccinated and you get COVID, you're going to have mild symptoms. Okay, but then they're saying if you're an unvaccinated person, you're dangerous and you're spreading COVID. But unless you're sick, how can you be spreading COVID? Unless they're saying you're unvaccinated and also you can have mild symptoms. See how they keep telling you the vaccine's the best way to reduce your chance of going to the hospital having a severe illness. But if you're unvaccinated, you could be killing someone right now, even though you have no symptoms. How can both of those things be true? Yet they continue to tell you this. The only way to protect yourself is to get vaccinated. But if you're unvaccinated, like myself, like many people watching, like millions of people, you're spreading COVID. Remember, that's the pretense of their argument. They start from the basis of you, if you're unvaccinated, you have COVID right now, and you're killing people right now with no symptoms. So the best way for you to protect others is to get vaccinated, even though now they're admitting vaccinated people can spread the virus. Now, also keep in mind, as we're beating a dead horse, I'm going to continue talking about it. People who are unvaccinated that have to go to work and all that stuff, they're testing pretty much every day. They have to test all the time. So those are the only people you know for a fact don't have it, because they're testing negative. But they have this thing where if you're unvaccinated, you need to test all the time. So we know you don't have COVID. We're still going to make you wear a mask all day. That's another story. But if you're vaccinated, you get to just pass go. Go ahead. We know that you're safe. You're good. Even though they're admitting you can still spread it and be asymptomatic. This is more about just demonizing the unvaccinated, more ostracizing us, and more just trying to just drive a wedge and promote more fear, hoping to get through to people who have not bought into the fear thus far. Imagine buying into the fear now. If you didn't buy into it from the beginning, you didn't buy into it all throughout 2020, all throughout 2021 through the Delta variant, you're going to buy into it now because of Omicron. That's what this is about. This is about selling more fear and selling more vaccines. We need to get more shots and more arms We need to make our big pharma overlords who fund us, who bankroll us, who have lobbyists in DC, we need to fund them. We need to get rich off of them. And the only way to do that is to sell more vaccines. So in order to do that, we got to push more fear. We need to prophesize death. Everyone who doesn't get it, you're going to go to the hospital and die. Here's my doomsday prophecy. It's going to be a winter of death. So he says, for the unvaccinated, you're looking for a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. They've been wrong before. They're going to be wrong now. They called every single gathering in 2020, every single Trump rally, every gathering was called a super spreader event. And then after those events took place, there was no super spreading, none of it. Then they keep saying pandemic of the unvaccinated, pandemic of the unvaccinated. That turned out to be a lie. The very first person who contracted Omicron in the US was fully vaccinated, but yet they're saying it must have come from an unvaccinated person. Really, drop a name. Who's the person? Who is the person? It just seems like they're just repeating it. They're just cycling through what they did before. And, you know, some may say this is just a coincidence, nothing to read into. But isn't it kind of ironic that tomorrow, being the first day of winter, is when Joe Biden is going to address the nation and push fear and tell you that you're about to experience a winter of severe illness and death? Almost as if he's trying to summon that reality, trying to cast some kind of spell. I don't know. Some people might say that. Some people might say, hey, it's nothing. It just happens to be a coincidence that on the first day of winter, he's going to say it's a dark winter and you're about to die if you don't get this jab. Now, for the people who have complied and been vaccinated, he's saying, look, you're a good person. We love you. We care about you because you did what we told you to do. But what they don't realize, many of them, I think, are starting to realize it. How can you not when they're asking you to get booster, get this shot, get that shot? This is going to last forever. There's always going to be a new variant. COVID is not going away. They're not going to let it go away. Why would somebody who stands to earn money, gain money, want this thing to end? These big pharma CEOs and executives, they want this to continue. Politicians who get money from these big pharma companies, they want this to continue. The media wants to continue pushing fear. Fear sells. Everybody's cashing in on this. Stock prices going up with Pfizer and Moderna. They want this to continue. And as a result, they're going to continue to mandate booster shots. This never ends. If you're fully vaccinated, you've already bought in. So I don't know how you can unfire that gun. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. If you've been vaccinated 3-4 times, guess what? You got to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you get your little Excelsior pass, your little card, you've already bought into the new system of you must show your papers wherever you go. And this is the new normal. When they say they want you to live with the virus, what they really mean, I don't know why I believed that they said learn to live with the virus, meaning just go about your lives as normal. No, what they really mean is accept this permanent overreach. You notice when government grows, it never shrinks back to its original size. This is not going away. Just like after 9/11, the Patriot Act did not go away. The restrictions in place now will be in place next year and the year after and the year after. They're not going to let up. I can't say that enough. I can't say it repeatedly enough to drive the point home. And if anybody disagrees, please explain to me when you think this will end and leave out the part where, well, we just need more people to get vaccinated. Leave that part out because it's BS. Because even if you get vaccinated, COVID's still here. There's still going to be new variants. So explain to me when this is supposed to end. I just can't seem to figure it out, especially when they're denying alternative information that's coming out. Information like ex-FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott says there's no indication Omicron variant causes more severe illness, and highlights South Africa data showing those infected are less likely to end up in the hospital. So in South Africa, where this thing originated, people aren't in the hospital. We're not hearing about a lot of deaths. I don't know if it's in the UK or if it's worldwide or in the US, but something like 12 people have died already. I mean, hospitalizations may be up, but I mean, this thing is super transmissible, but it's not as deadly as Delta, at least not yet. But yet the response is, we got to lock down. We got to go back. We got to reverse course. We can't do this. It's just more fear. That's it. And fear is going to weaken your immune system. So while we're on the subject of dark winters and how the pandemic and the virus is affecting people, what they forget to mention is the unintended consequences. Look at obesity. There's an obesity problem that's getting worse during the pandemic. Childhood obesity has spiked during the pandemic and may lead to heart issues. What's another thing in here? There's a couple different articles I had looked at over here, but obesity is on the rise. Pandemic worsened mental health risk, social risk in minority children. There's a lot of people that are depressed due to this. A lot of people getting divorced. A lot of people, of course, lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods. People have gotten fatter, which makes them more susceptible to not only COVID, but the next virus that may or may not come from a lab in China. Up to 300,000 people facing heart-related illness due to post-pandemic stress disorder. So they never want to address what their harmful draconian policies have done to people. They're just saying the only solution is the pharmaceutical injection. They keep on pushing that. So expect Biden to do that tomorrow at whatever time he's planning on addressing the nation. But his primary goal is to sell more fear and vaccines. Get ready for it. It's coming. And probably more mandates that'll get held up in the court. You know, his mandate was blocked by judges nationwide. So he got hit with that. And, you know, it's probably going to be more of that. And more just fear for the people that did comply. I mean, gosh, you complied. You've got 3-4 shots. You're still afraid of COVID, even though you're fully vaccinated and you're wearing 2 to 3 masks and sanitizing your surroundings and hiding from people who are unvaccinated. And then at the same time, upset at them for not getting vaccinated, saying it's the only way to keep you safe. Okay, well, if it's a me problem, why do you care? And if we're worried about hospitals being overwhelmed, maybe we should stop making our population fat from these lockdowns, from the depression, from the junk food and the fast food, from everything that they promote, which is not them caring about your health. Just saying, I could go on and on and on about this, but it's just very interesting that tomorrow on the first day of winter solstice, Biden is going to push this fear about the Omicron variant and say, you know, reiterate this talking point that it's going to be a winter of severe illness and death unless you have complied and done what he told you to do. He's wishing death on you. That's just lovely. Just lovely. Also, dark winter looms for Pennsylvania as power bills set to soar. See, they don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about a dark winter, literally. Let's talk about the surging cost of heating your homes and lighting your homes. We want to talk about that. You know, things that actually are affecting families. You know, the cost of groceries, the cost of Christmas presents, if you can even get them. Right. Moving on. This is creepy right here, but and this is from Sweden. Now, what they're doing is promoting a microchip that will be implanted in you. So on today's episode of Alex Jones Was Right, we're going to watch this little creepy video. I'll just kind of read the the words of some of the captions on here, because they're not really talking the whole way through. But so this is Stockholm, Sweden. And they start out by saying, hold on, let me rewind. Imagine showing your COVID-19 passport with just a flash of your arm. Imagine that, guys. Would it just be amazing if you could just have this chip implanted and they could just track all of your medical data? You don't need privacy anymore. It's a public health emergency. It's for the greater good. So it continues, showing your COVID-19 passport, accept this new normal. This Swedish company says it has a chip that can hold information about your vaccination status. Super cool, guys. Don't you want to get it? Sign up for it. It syncs with your Android or Apple device, I'm sure. It's so small you can embed it in your arm. Remember, the Pentagon is already testing stuff like this. The chip uses pre-existing technology that the firm was already developing. So you see a woman using her her skin to access a building. Isn't that just lovely? Stockholm-based Epicenter has been working on human-compatible tech for years, but it's for the greater good. Well, let's hear what this guy has to say here. Unmute it.
Implants are a very versatile technology that can be used for many different things. And right now, it's very convenient to have a COVID passport always accessible on your implant.
New normal. The chip uses near-field communication. It can send data to any NFC-compatible device, such as a smartphone. The technology is not new, but it's used in humans to grow popular in the last decade. The first person to have a microchip implanted was Kevin Warwick in 1998. So this isn't new, but this is the plan. This is the plan. People don't think it's happening. They don't think it's true. This is not going to happen. You can opt out. And then once it comes, you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist. If you don't want this microchip implanted in you, you just want someone's grandma to die. You don't support health and freedom because you don't want to get this implanted microchip that will grant you access to buildings, to restaurants, to fly, to buy and sell. You see where I'm going with this? But hey, even though I'm showing the video right now and this technology literally exists, people will say it's not true, it's not real, it's just fear mongering, it's just a conspiracy theory. It's not happening, Mike. But they say the procedure can be completely reversible. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. The chips are not yet for sale, but yeah, you can see. So yeah, and this is actually already happening in the U.S. There's a company in Wisconsin, which the name slips my mind right now, but there's a company in Wisconsin where they actually paid employees to pilot this microchip. I don't know if it's from this company or not, but they have a microchip implanted in their arm that they use for work-related things. So it's not functional outside of their place of work, but they use it to access buildings, to buy chips from the vending machine, to log into their computers, to clock in, clock out, that kind of thing. It's already here. And they will eventually merge it with technology, merge your health pass, which is going to grant you all your freedoms, your health pass, your freedom pass. That's what they're going to do. And they're only able to do this if people continue to comply. As they continue to shift the goalposts, we'll go back to normal after this. This is the last booster. We promise. The last one. Just get the 10th one. But then they'll shift the goalposts out again. Because again, COVID's not going anywhere. There will be another variant. There will be more fear. There will be more vaccine salesmen coming out of the woodworks telling you why it's your patriotic duty to inject your arm with Pfizer products, even though you'll still get it and spread it. You know, I talked about last week how they have all these sports teams are putting their seasons on hold. You got all these hockey teams that their seasons are just basically on pause right now. You get NFL games postponed that are going to happen today because COVID doesn't spread as bad on Monday as it does on Saturday. So we're learning more about this new variant. It's okay that the Cleveland Browns play today, but Saturday was just way too dangerous. Mind you, 90% of the people who were forced to take the test didn't show any symptoms. They were told, they were surprised. Hey, guess what? You have a deadly virus that could kill people. Even though you don't know it and you don't have any symptoms, your body hasn't told you anything. So you can't play football. Not yet. Psychotic. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, we'll move on. Something interesting that took place over the weekend. Many have already probably seen it. But Kamala Harris, everyone's favorite politician, just wildly popular. Just everyone loves Kamala Harris. She had some little virtual interview with Charlemagne the God that got a little bit testy.
All right, who's the superhero that's going to speak against Joe Manchin? No. I want to know who's the real president of this country. Is it Joe Biden or Joe Manchin?
I'm sorry, I interrupted. I don't think the vice president can hear you. It's Simone. I'm so sorry, Charlemagne. We have to wrap.
She can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, Madam Vice President?
So I'm sorry, we got to wrap. Oh. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're acting like they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, so who's the
I
real?
can hear you.
So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne.
Come
on. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell
No,
sometimes.
no. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
My name is Kamala. Okay. Let's first talk about the person you can't see, the person in the background. Charlamagne. The person that you can't see, but you can hear their voice and it's crackling is Simone Sanders. Many of you probably know her from her cringe moments on CNN when she was like, oh my goodness, poor white people. She's very like loudmouth and just, she confirms every negative stereotype about black women that you can imagine. It's just the truth. But anyway, that's her off camera. She was working for Biden's campaign back in 2020 or 2019, actually, when he was running in the Democrat primary. But anyway, that's who's off camera there trying to shut down the interview after Charlamagne the God asked a very legitimate question. Who's running the country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden? It's very interesting that he thinks it's between those two. Like Joe Manchin's definitely not running the country. We know that Biden's definitely not running the country. So I think a better question would have just been, who's running the country? Because it doesn't seem like it's Joe Biden instead of making it about Joe Manchin. But nonetheless, he was over the target because Simone Sanders tried to shut down the interview. Okay, now that's very interesting that she tried to shut it down. And then Kamala Harris, for whatever reason, is like, no, I want to continue, right? Knowing damn well they heard the question. So she gets really mad and she said, stop talking like a Republican, which translates to get your ass back in line. You're not allowed to talk like that. Don't ask me those questions. You sound like a Republican. You're black. Your job is to toe the liberal Democrat Party line. So anybody that happens to think differently, have their own opinion, have their own perspective, and ask valid questions, if you're black, you're not allowed to do that. This is only the third time that she's been disrespectful in his presence, and he just lets it happen. Apparently, he's okay with it. He's okay with it. Going back to Hillary Clinton, right? I keep hot sauce in my purse. And he goes, and you know what they're going to say? You're pandering to black people again. Hillary goes, yeah, is it working? Basically, I said, I have hot sauce in my purse. Black people like hot sauce. Does my pandering work? Will your audience of mostly black and probably Latino people now vote for me? Because I don't have any policies to talk about. I just want to relate to their eating habits, and hot sauce in my purse is a way to do that. So this is why people have called her, I've called her this, Brown Hillary. That's pretty much what she is. She is a brown version of Hillary Clinton as far as her insufferability. People are just completely repulsed by her. But her going on the Breakfast Club, also, a year or so ago when she was running for president. And she also said in that interview, she believes Biden's accusers and blah, blah, blah. But then she's like, yeah, I smoked weed and listened to Tupac. And now she's saying, you're talking like a Republican. If you have that mindset, if you're thinking outside the box, if you're thinking for yourself, if you're questioning me instead of helping me to reach your audience with propaganda, you are talking like a Republican. So she got hostile with Charlamagne because this is what they think of people like him. It's sad and unfortunate that he doesn't have the balls to stand up to her and say, hold up, slow your roll. Because again, she was just on there a year or so ago bragging about smoking weed and listening to hip hop because she thinks that would appeal to the audience and they would then support her, which we know backfired. She's uniquely unlikable and unpopular amongst black and Latinos. But that's what this whole little situation is. So she got mad about him pressing her, asking a question that most people want to know. Most people are wondering this. So his question was actually really, really valid. I don't understand, again, the Joe Manchin part of it. But basically acknowledging and recognizing Biden's not in charge. Nobody thinks Biden's in charge. Zero people probably, unless they are just watching MSNBC around the clock, think Biden is truly in charge. That's why in the news, on CNN, whatever, they're talking about who can replace Joe Biden in 2024 because they know he's not going to make it. But yeah, this is more disrespectful condescending authoritarianism coming from the left that think that they own people based on the color of their skin. That's exactly what this is. Don't start talking like a Republican. You need to talk like a Democrat, and you're not allowed to say certain things. I bet you if this weren't on camera, she could have called him an Uncle Tom and got away with it. Guaranteed. So that's Kamala Harris for you. And if you didn't already need another reason to not like her, here's another one right here for you. Like I said, she is just unbelievably insufferable. You just can't even really put it into words at this point. Moving on. Widespread criticism has compelled Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut to say he would not have gone to a labor union event had he known of its ties to the Communist Party USA, vowing he believes strongly in capitalism. Now, this is very interesting because this was talked about last week and he didn't address it until pressure just mounted. Okay, fine. I denounced the Communist Party. I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that they had ties to the Communist Party of the United States. Sorry, we don't believe you. How do you know a politician is lying? It's because their lips are moving. That's how you know. And Richard Blumenthal is no different. This guy has a couple different lies to his resume. I can't remember which one, but the one about him, something having to do with war, serving in the military or something like that. But he's a liar. Right? No shocker. He's a liar, a career politician liar. Now he's trying to lie his way out of attending a communist event in the United States. Now, imagine your shock. Are you shocked by this? Imagine my shock. Do you think I'm shocked to find out that a politician attended a communist event? An event that's used to recruit new members to the Communist Party, by the way. And I wonder what the Communist Party of the United States has to say about Richard Blumenthal now trying to distance himself. I'm pretty sure they're not too happy about that. He's trying to save face because his constituents probably aren't too happy about it. So this is just damage control. He's not actually sorry. He's not serious. I wouldn't have gone to the labor union event if I had known it was tied to the Communist Party. Well, what do you think they were talking about there, Richard? These people are so dishonest, it'll make your head spin. Good Lord. Now, moving on to something a little more important than what we just talked about. Verdict in Ghislaine Maxwell trial highly likely by Wednesday. Now, a source close to Maxwell says she's threatening to start naming names. And she's trying to do this, obviously, so she can get a lighter sentence. So she's going down, right? But she wants to take, or she's at least threatening to take people with her. Instead of doing the right thing and just naming names, she's trying to use it as leverage to get a lighter sentence. Like, hey, I won't name drop if you give me a slap on the wrist. What a despicable train wreck of a human being this woman is. No one wants to talk about Epstein's victims. They're not getting any attention. At one point, the defense was trying to make her seem like the victim here. She's the victim in all this, guilty by association. It wasn't really like that. She will not name drop people unless she can get a lighter sentence. How were names not already dropped? I mean, is this not the biggest trial of the century? And we got little to no coverage of it. And it was a very quick trial. Hasn't it only been like, 2-3 weeks? And already the jury is deliberating. I think we'll know by Wednesday. It's just crazy. So are names going to be dropped? Are we going to hear about the names? I don't know. I guess we'll have to try to find another Ghislaine Maxwell trial tracker on Twitter, and hopefully they don't nuke it from orbit like they did the last one that had like 500,000 followers. I know that there's another one on Facebook. They're trying to scrub it from the internet. They don't want you talking about it. I guess that means that they have no interest in trying to root out the evil that is human trafficking. They don't care. If you talk about the Maxwell trial, you'll have your account removed. They don't want people engaging in discussion and dialogue around this. Talk about anything else. You can talk about ISIS beheadings online, but don't you dare talk about the United States covering up child sex trafficking rings for decades. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton, pictured with this pedophile, flew on his jet, went to his island. We're not allowed to talk about it. Again, the worst crimes against humanity, they're still covering up. They're still covering up. They don't want you to talk about it because they're all implicated in this. That's why. That's exactly why. Let's just call it what it is. People covering this up are implicated. People who refuse to talk about it are probably implicated. How could you have zero interest in this? Zero. I have not heard Ted Cruz talk about it. I'm not trying to single him out. I'm just saying, for example, he's somebody that makes his voice heard about other issues, talking about Fauci and, grilling the guy that in the Pentagon, I forget his name. He's all about that, but I haven't heard him mention anything about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I haven't heard many politicians at all say anything about this and demand more coverage of it. Could it be that she'll start naming names? Maybe some of those names are on the list. Who knows? But I thought the whole point of this trial was so that we could get some names and bring more people to justice for their disgusting filth that they've committed. But I guess not, you guys. Interesting. I guess I've covered everything so far. 36 minutes. That's almost record time. But again, Biden's dark winter. It's going to be a dark winter of death and severe illness unless you have injected Pfizer's product into your arm. Unless you've done what I told you to do, I'm basically issuing you a death sentence. Trying to wish death on you. That's what this is. That's what it is. That's what the fear-mongering speech will be about tomorrow on the first day of winter. What a coincidence. Talking about how deadly and miserable your winter is going to be on the first day of winter, which is tomorrow. So let me read some chats here, some comments in the chat. I appreciate everybody that's here. If you haven't already, please give it a thumbs up. Subs are dropping like flies these days. I think it's the YouTube. They're instantly after the stream is over, it will probably show a dip in like 20 subs. And it's crazy because even when the sub count goes up, the view count doesn't go up. That doesn't make sense either. You guys know they've been toying with this channel for a while, but it's all good. It's whatever. I don't do this for the popularity. It started all the way back in the 1960s and likely before then. Someone said FJB, happy dark winter to all the purebloods. They hate purebloods. They hate you. They hate you. They hate you because they can't control you. So they're lashing out. And if the unvaccinated are such a minority population in the United States, why are you giving them so much attention? Especially when all these fully vaccinated people are the ones getting it. And they're the ones in bubbles. Explain to me how Cory Booker got the virus. Who is Cory Booker hanging around that's unvaccinated? If, in fact, it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated, who gave Cory Booker the virus? Better yet, does he actually have it, or is he just helping push the agenda? Just like in 2020, the first people we heard about catching COVID in 2020 were all celebrities. And none of them had symptoms, none of them. And that was before there was a vaccine, obviously. They were on Twitter. Let me do an Instagram live post from quarantine and let you guys know I have COVID. We're safer together. We're at home together. We're going to get through this, guys. They're doing the same thing over again. I, Elizabeth Warren, have tested positive for COVID, and I would be dead if it weren't for my booster shots brought to you by Pfizer. Good Lord, it's just so obvious. It's just painfully obvious to see what this all is about. So, yeah, again, how are they getting this virus if they're these rich, disconnected people? They don't hang around. Well, maybe their chauffeur is, no, I doubt. They're probably their chauffeur. The people that open doors for them probably have to be fully vaccinated. You probably have to be fully vaccinated and obedient and wear 2 masks to even be in the presence of the ruling class. So did Elizabeth Warren actually get it, or is she just a liar? Well, the first part of that is true, but did she actually get COVID? Do you believe it? Did Cory Booker really get it? And there's another politician that got it. Expect more high-profile names. Angelina Jolie has tested positive for COVID. Russell Crowe has tested positive for COVID. Tyler Perry has tested positive for COVID. Expect more celebrities and people of consequence to come forward and say, I've tested positive for the Omicron variant. Even though I have no symptoms, it's very important to know that I would be in a much worse situation had I not been fully vaccinated with big pharmaceutical products, namely Pfizer. Tom Hanks on SNL pushing it. He was the first in Hollywood to come out. Yeah. I mean, people coming out. That's the new coming out. People coming out as testing positive for COVID. Again, they're not going to move us back to normal. Your pre-pandemic life as you knew it ended. Now, that's not to say that you haven't, carved out your little bubble of normalcy throughout this and you haven't let it fully affect you, but it still affects you. Like, it still affects me. I'm literally here talking about it right now because things aren't normal. I have to take COVID tests if there's certain family members I want to see. And while I feel kind of conflicted about that, right? Like, I don't want to be spreading any kind of virus to like an elderly family member. At the same time, I feel like this isn't something I want to do for the rest of my life. If I want to see you, I got to jam something up my nose when I know already that I'm not sick. And I do everything to take care of myself on a regular basis, including if I were sick, staying at home, keeping myself safe from other people. That's the normal thing that I would have done already without any government intrusion, right? That's the way the world was before. But now that we're in this post-pandemic, I don't know why they're calling it post-pandemic if they're stretching it out for all eternity. Now that we're in this new norm, that's what you have to do. You have to test everywhere you go. You have to mask, even if you've been vaccinated. This is psychotic. Anybody that's flown on an airplane, guess what? Your life has changed unless you're going to tell me that unless you're going to tell me that you've flown somewhere and you didn't wear a mask the whole time, because that would be a lie, right? You might find little ways around it. You might wait until you've reached your cruising altitude and the flight attendants aren't walking by and you pull the mask down. I'm sure people have done it. I'm not going to say if I have or haven't, but I'm sure people have done it. They found little loopholes and little ways to just be normal, breathe oxygen through their nose without a cloth dirty diaper covering it, right? Not literally dirty diaper, but it's a face diaper. I'm just telling you, this is the new norm. This is them saying, learn to live with it, meaning you're going to wear masks forever. You're going to be required to show your papers forever. You are going to need to live in fear of dying from a virus forever. Make all of it make sense for me. You must live in fear of dying from COVID or you'll die from COVID. That's what they're saying. Unvaccinated, you need to worry you're going to die from COVID, but also you need to live in fear and get booster on booster on booster so that you don't die. Well, the reality is no matter if you get vaccinated or not, we all share the same fate. It's just another attempt at them trying to play God. They just want to be God. We can control who lives and dies from COVID. We can control who lives and dies from a hurricane because we're government. They don't even acknowledge God. They don't. Remember, they started off the year mocking God, a man and a woman. It's so obvious, guys. They put in your face the freaking beast statue outside of the UN. Let me slow down here. It's only Monday. We got all week. Thank you for the new Sherry Sunshine. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you. That's how I feed my family. This and working for Right Side Broadcasting, which it's slow right now. I have a feeling since next year is an election year, it's going to be fairly busy. There's going to be quite a bit of things to cover and do. But yeah, Biden's dark winter prophecy to be announced tomorrow for all of you out there, all of you unvaccinated people out there. You better rush to your nearest pharmacy and jam that needle in your arm, or you're just going to die this winter. It's just that simple. He has sentenced you to death, and he hopes that it happens. Plenty of people want it to happen. They want you to suffer because you didn't comply. They don't want to hear that you recovered and you have natural immunity. That's the last thing they want to hear because they don't care. They don't care about natural immunity. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your life. Pretending they do would be doing an exorbitant amount of mental gymnastics. It would be exhausting to pretend that all of this is for the greater good. It's funny, people don't think that there's any agenda whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I have lots of friends and family. They do not believe for a second that there's any agenda whatsoever to extend this pandemic, to force vaccines, to make people richer. There's no agenda for politicians to seize power and reorchestrate society, reorganize your life. There's no agenda. There's no agenda 21. That thing is not real. But they will acknowledge historically that there are corrupt governments around the world, just not now, just not here, just not now. Corruption is real. It's happening around the world. It's happening in other countries. We'll point to it. We can point historically, but it's just not happening now. This is the only space and time where there's zero corruption. It's just 100% pure intentions. It's crazy that some people have been so psychologically damaged that they will, give this government a pass, or just completely look the other way, or convince themselves it's not happening as they continue to strip freedoms, restrict movement, restrict access, and pump people full of fear while they lock down and get fatter and make them more diseased. And just, it's a vicious, vicious cycle. I'm a plumber for 28 years now. I have plumber's immunity, extra strong immunity. Yeah, get yourself some plumber's level immunity. That's what I'm talking about. And while we're at it, we need more plumbers. We need more plumbers. We need more people that pick up trash and do these normal things that keep society functioning. We need more electricians, more people that do all kind of different work, I guess. Blue collar workers for the win. Truck drivers. Biden is going to cure cancer. Yeah, he campaigned on that. These are words. Don't ever take what I say for, lightly. Just do your own research. Don't take it as gospel is what I mean. Do your own research. Find the clip of Biden saying that he has the cure for cancer, but first you got to elect him president. So he's been sitting on the cure for cancer all these years, but he was waiting and using it as leverage. Hey, I'll unlock the secret of how we can cure cancer if you elect me president. I think that might have been a lie. Just a hunch, though. Just like how he's going to cancel student loan debt. That was a lie. He's going to shut down the virus. That was a lie. Won't ban fracking. That was a lie. Blah, blah, blah. But hey, he's totally telling the truth now. He's been lying for 52 years, but he's telling the truth now. Gotcha. Someone said Biden did not cure cancer. He didn't. This is news to me. So anyway, guys, you need to be afraid because you've got a dark winter approaching, and this Omicron variant is going to be the end of all. We know it's a lie. We know that it's going to pass, just like everything else. All the other fear mongering has passed, but they're still telling you that you need to be afraid because lots and lots and lots of death is coming this winter. Okay, that's enough. I can't even joke about this because it's what you say is, there's power in the words that you say. It's true. So no, I wish life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I speak life, right? I speak life. I don't think anybody's going to, I won't say anybody's going to die, but I think people are going to be healthy and prosperous. It's a Monday for my brain, guys. It is. I think people are going to be healthy and prosperous so long as that's what they choose to do and what they choose to focus on. I think people are smart enough and responsible enough to govern their own affairs, protect their own self and their own family, and they don't need big daddy government cramming down authoritarian rules and arbitrary restrictions to keep them healthy and safe. The government is the virus. The media is the virus. These people have done more damage to your personal life, your financial well-being, than you could ever do. So, yeah. That's just my take, right? I speak life, truth, happiness, health, freedom, love, God, all that good stuff. So that's it, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap, keep it short today because it's only Monday. You know, I don't want to run out of gas on a Monday. It's going to be a long week. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. You guys are rock stars. Again, make sure that you give this stream a thumbs up if you haven't already. If you're new, subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss tomorrow's stream or the next day or the next day. God bless you all. I will catch you guys in the next stream.